Hello and welcome to the Live Life Golden Show. This is episode 51. We are in receiving mode today. I'm going to talk all about what receiving mode is, how to get in receiving mode, and how to create from your flow state. Because, often in life we get into situations where we either feel unmotivated, we feel uninspired, we're basically just trying to pay bills, we're going to work every day, and life starts to feel very mundane. And in those energy fields, we're not conducting from an energy flow of allowing our purpose, allowing our passion, allowing our flow state to really become something that we enjoy and aspire to every day. So I'm going to help you unlock your receiving mode. I'm going to do a little bit of release work because often we get caught up in stuck energies that don't allow our flow. So if we have any kind of trauma to the sacral chakra, which is the one below our belly button, that is our creative center. So if that is locked up, we may have trouble feeling inspired or having ideas and really working from those ideas. It's one thing to have ideas. It's another thing to actually work with them. It's like one thing to sit there and go, oh, I really want to do this. It's another thing to decide to do it and to actually go through with stuff that's going to make you feel fulfilled and purposeful in your life experience. So this weekend, I'll give you a little update on the Duffy family. This weekend, we drove our daughter and all of her belongings, our second daughter, with our grandbaby back to Phoenix, Arizona. They moved back to Phoenix. This was something that had to happen as her dad lives there. And my daughter was really hoping to stay in California, and things just didn't line up. We had the last 2 years of a lot of contrast, a lot of things working out, a lot of things not working out. And this poor baby who's 4 years old was having to go back and forth every 2 weeks. Not a great scenario. So I'm really thankful and I feel super blessed that my daughter is a meditator. She is been sober for a year. I really feel like coming to California was part of her getting sober and really taking her power back in life. And that she's embraced this move to Phoenix as something that is really important and really okay. Like she's not in resistance to it, which I will definitely have her on the show in the next couple of weeks because I'm sure she's going to have some amazing manifestation stories. But for her to, up level into that maturity and up level into that acceptance, so often we're in resistance in our life and it's hard for us to get into true acceptance of our path. And when all roads were leading back to Phoenix, she just said, okay, I'm going. And she's seeing the blessings and she's seeing the up level in her own happiness in kind of going with the flow. So that's part of going with the flow. It's watching the energy field and then conducting your life from that. So the energy field was getting really, contrasting in California. The financial flow is not there for her. Things were just not really working and everything felt hard. And that's what made her go, okay, all right, we got to do this differently. And she's okay with moving back. And she got a beautiful apartment and we moved her in. The move was so smooth. Everything lined up financially, everything lined up with the moving truck and people helping. And we actually were able to unpack a lot of her stuff and get things on the wall to really make it feel like home. And in fact, one really funny thing is not so funny, not so funny. She got a U-Haul that was too small, so she couldn't take her whole couch. So she only took half the couch, and now she's going to buy a new couch. And you know what? So sad to buy a new couch, right? So that's a good thing because that'll help her build her credit. That was one way that we really built our credit when we moved to California. We had come off of bankruptcies and home foreclosures, and we had to furnish a whole house. So we put everything on furniture credit cards, and they are like 5 years, no financing, 3 years, no financing. So we never paid financing on our furniture, but we were able to get we have a 4-bedroom house full of furniture now that is completely paid off, and we were able to do it in payments. So hooray, right? So cool. So blessings to her and my beautiful grandbaby who I will miss. That was something that I really had to process, was them leaving and being okay with that. Just it's really, I think it's the most challenging thing as a parent is when your kids are called to something that calls them away from you, and you're not going to be in their physical experience as much as you want to. And my oldest daughter definitely taught me that detachment that we have to do. My life has changed in really wonderful ways, even though she doesn't live near me anymore. I've, gotten more social. I have more friends because we tended to just do stuff with them. So I see the benefits. I still miss her like crazy. I don't like living away from my kids. I definitely don't. But I've gotten really good at the mind training piece of that so that I don't get into the missing and I don't get into the sadness. And it's just okay. And when we're together, it's so quality time and it's so beautiful and it's so rich and so deep that those are the benefits. So I know that will happen with my daughter and my granddaughter. Thankfully, they're only one state away, even though that drive is, we did the drive. So it's a 6-hour drive, 5 to 6 hours. And we did that on Saturday and then we came back on Sunday. So yeah, it's a lot of driving and some traffic on the way home. But my husband is an incredible trooper, did all of the driving while we napped and read and chilled out. And mostly we listened to, I shared this on Facebook, we listened to the Four Agreements. And I haven't actually read or listened to that book in a long time. And it kind of blew my mind. And the coolest part about it, which was a manifestation for sure, is we're driving through the mesa, like we're driving through the desert, listening to this, Toltec wisdom, which I feel like just drove it deeper. And we're changed from it. We're changed from listening to it. And now my youngest, who was in the back seat the whole time, pretty much sleeping and meditating herself, she's listening to it as well. And now we have these signs all over our house of the Four Agreements. And every time something comes out of my mouth that, disrupts the Four Agreements, I am reminded by family members of the Four Agreements, which is awesome. I really feel like those Four Agreements, if you haven't, you can actually just look them up. You can Google them. But I really believe, my husband and I both said this, like, if you follow those Four Agreements, you literally, your life will become so much more peaceful and joyful. And it really is the answer to so many dramas and so many things that we put ourselves through that are unnecessary. So freaking amazing. I may do a show on it. I may have to do a show on it with him because he's so into it. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a show on that with him because he's really into it. And I thought, how blessed to be with somebody who really, wants to work on their spirituality and wants this information. And he suggested it. He asked me if I would listen to it with him. So that's truly a blessing. And if you can do that together as a couple, there's a lot of richness and a lot of deepness and a lot of conversation that leads to more power in your relationship and more power in your life experience because you're not just talking about the bills and the kids and all that stuff. You're talking about stuff that really matters, that real, true reality of life, which, basically Don Miguel Ruiz says we're living in an illusion. Like this is all an illusion. And getting back to the present moment awareness of our flow and our expression of the life force is what really matters. And that's how we live. We truly do. And as much as there may be times that we forget, and we have to interrupt our own minds and our own dramas, and we've got all these girls and we've got all this managing of things and making sure they're okay. When we come back to this knowing together, it's fantastic. All right, so I'm going to dive into what is the flow state. So we all, hopefully everyone on this listening knows what the flow state is. So what the flow state is when you are so wrapped up in a project, when you are so wrapped up in creating that you lose track of time. You lose track of, like, you don't even see what's going on around you. Like you are so immersed. And this is different than being on your phone, because this happens on your phone and this also happens on TV. When you're watching TV. But this is flow state, is when you are in a project, when you are allowing the expression of the infinite energy to come through you. So that is wisdom beyond. It is infinite intelligence beyond anything you can experience as a human being when you open yourself up to this flow of divinity, this flow of life, this flow of information. And because you open yourself up to it, they call it channeling, and you might feel uncomfortable with that expression because channeling has always kind of been like channeling spirits or channeling aliens, or, we've heard all things about channeling. And it's easy to judge that and to be uncomfortable with it, especially if you grew up in a religion who, basically said that's new age baloney and you got to stay away from it. If you can open yourself up to the idea that we all have this channel, that we are all connected to this divine energy that allows us to get into a flow state that takes us beyond the human experience. If you can just grasp that, if you can just let go of any judgment that is wrong or evil, or that you think that you're going to be higher than God, that's not the idea of this. The idea of this really is that we are the flow, that we are part of the flow, that we are an expression of the flow, and that we have access to this flow. And because of that, we can do some really cool things. And because of that, we have gifts, we have talents that other people don't necessarily have access to because we are a different branch of that expression, if that makes sense. All of us have a different ability, a different gift, a different talent, a different way of saying things. I was talking to my daughter the other day and we were talking about card reading. And I'm not really super into tarot card reading. I do listen to a few things just out of interest and curiosity. But my daughter's super into it and she's like, everybody's doing it. And I'm like, but everybody's not doing it the way you do it. You're going to bring, and if this is something that messes with your flow state and keeps you from answering that call of your heart, this one thing that everybody else is doing it, and what good am I? Like, why would I do this if everybody else is doing it? There's too many people doing that in the world. If that is your belief and you have a call and that has been your reason for not doing it, you've got to drop that. And I'm going to help you. I'm going to do a little release work on that, because the truth of the matter is you're going to attract people. There's going to be people that resonate with you, and there's going to be people that need to hear what you have to say the way you say it. Other people aren't saying it the same way. I've been told that I sound a lot like, that I've got a lot of the messages of Abraham Hicks. I've listened to Abraham Hicks a lot. Abraham Hicks is a channeling situation. Not a lot of people are comfortable with it. This is probably the first time I've ever actually admitted that in public. But I say things differently than that because there's a simplification that I believe needs to happen that people that are listening to this podcast need to grasp. A simplification where there's a readiness and there's an availability that we move into spiritually to be able to receive messages. If you've ever tried to talk to someone and they were kind of shut down, they won't receive what you're saying, right? We say it in our house, it's not a teaching moment. So like if you're, things are fired up, or if somebody's in too much pain, if they are in too much of their problem, they cannot hear a solution because they're not ready to receive it. I've dealt with that a lot. So I just don't share because it's a waste of energy if you continue to share. And not only a waste of energy, but it can set up resistance for them if they're not ready to receive. And you know it by the way they respond. There's no guessing game going on here. You know how people respond if they're receiving what you're saying, if they're picking it up, picking up what you're laying down, or if they're just shutting down, or if they're giving you every reason and every excuse in the book why it won't work. If they are putting down every idea that you have, it's not time. They're not ready. They're not in receiving mode. Okay. So to be in the flow is allowing this energy to move through you absent of resistance. That's what flow is. It's absent of resistance. So you are allowing this energy to come through you. You're not using excuses. You're not using reasons. You're not using distractions to keep you from it. You're allowing yourself to be open to it, and you're allowing it to flow through you. Time becomes less important. That's how you know you're in flow, and the task at hand becomes your ultimate focus. Now, this is super challenging at this point in our lives because there is so much calling to us. And I think that social media, our phones, emails, all the ways, texting, all the ways that people connect, and it being it being something that they can do at a moment's notice, and we constantly feel the need to respond immediately, that constantly takes us out of flow. It does. It consistently gets us out of flow. Then we answer the message, then we get all wrapped up in that. We got all this, brain power and all this stuff, neural pathways that have been activated through messaging that person. And then we settle back in and we try to get back into flow. This is messing with us, man. It's messing with us big time. So if you really want to be in flow, you got to turn off the devices. You got to turn off the dinging. You got to turn off the freaking notifications. I know I shared before, watch Social Dilemma, because you will see how they are constantly getting us to pick up these phones and how it is causing us to be very scattered, not to have flow, not to have projects, get really focused attention. So it's a challenge, but it's not impossible. You just have to be determined, and you have to be focused, and you have to decide that you're not going to be a slave to those things. So flow is non-resistant creative expression. It is infinite wisdom and intelligence that is flowing through you, and you have opened yourself up to receive. Your emotions are no longer controlling you. You have tuned out doubt. That's a big one. Tuning out doubt is huge. It is probably number one, the biggest thing that derails people is that doubt inside of themselves, that self-critical voice that tells them they can't do stuff and why, which is normally like their mother's voice or their father's voice or their teacher's voice or grandparents. Usually it's that voice that tells them why they can't do things, or just that low self-esteem, low self-confidence that they've been working from. So my advice on that would be to do some clearing work on that. So if you're bumping up against that, if you're bumping up against a bunch of doubts, if you have more days of doubt than you do of action, it's time to do the release work. And I'll do a little release for you to help you and assist you. You are literally moving energy and creating physical manifestation when you are in flow. It is phenomenal. You're letting the ideas come, and they're not just energetic, they're becoming physical manifestation. So this is in anything that you're doing, whether it's setting up, workshops, or writing a book, or creating a new business idea, whatever it is that you're really super interested in. Find a way to start activating a little bit of it and taking a step forward. So recently, I've decided I'm going to start doing live workshops, and scary as hell. Yeah, those getting yourself out of your fear and walking towards something, and then all the things that happen once you do that. So I had a lady who was interested in doing this with me, and she kind of called me out on it and said, "Hey, I really want to do this live. I don't want to do it on Zoom." And she lives near me. And I was like, okay. And then, then it's like finding a place and figuring out all the details and this and that and this and that. So the last couple of weeks, I've created a flyer. That's what I do. I create flyers, that's like activation of energy, right? Put it out there, start showing people, start telling people about it. And then finding a place. So I looked into a couple places. They were super, super duper more than I wanted to spend, like $3,500 for a 4-hour room. And I had found this place originally, and I had called the person. It's a free room in the Hotel Laguna, which they just renovated, which is beautiful. And it's on Main Beach in Laguna. And I want to go out and I want to do some outside adventures and meditations on the beach. So it's perfect. And I had called and left a message, and she didn't call me back. So there you go. There's my doubt, right? My doubt starts creeping up, and this isn't going to work. And where are you going to do it? And so I thought the other day, like, I was feeling super inspired. I had emailed a bunch of places. I was hitting some roadblocks with that just financially. And then I was like, I'm just going to call again. So I called again, and I emailed. I called and I emailed. So I got two different, situations going on there. Got an email back, and I'm talking to the girl tomorrow. And she was really excited about it. So I'm going to bring 10 to 20 people in that are local, that have never seen your hotel before, really selling myself and what I can bring to the table. And so I'm excited because I think this place is going to work out. And it doesn't matter how many people come, because this is the thing, that doubt, that worry, that concern about how many people are going to come it's not my concern. It's not what drives me is, oh, I'm going to have this big group of people. That's not what drives me. What drives me is allowing the flow, allowing my passions to be shared, allowing fulfillment to happen for others, allowing this energy to be shared, and for this information to reach 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20, 30 people, right? Hundreds, whatever. The ripple effect of just trusting that my heart is calling me to do this. It's calling me to do this. It's been calling me for a while. And then stepping into that is part of the grace. It's part of the letting go. It's part of the detaching. And it's the part of trusting that is so challenging when we put ourselves in receiving mode and flow. Just trusting that I'm following my intuition, trusting that I'm following the energy field, trusting that it's going to work, right? And what does that even mean? It's going to work. I'm going to do it. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great experience. There's going to be expansion and growth for people, right? Cool. Okay. So if you feel motivated and inspired and full of energy, it's time to act. It's time to act. And if you are not feeling that way, instead, if you're feeling if you've got excuses and you're feeling powerless and all of that, it's time to go within and journal that stuff out. Find out, activate those feelings, let those feelings come up and move through you so that you can become a lighter being, so that you can become lighter and in the energy flow and activation, because the heavy energy, the dense energy is actually calling you to release it. So when you get into flow, your excuses fall to the wayside. There's no more excuses. There's no more doubts. There's like, if they're there, you're not paying attention to them, and you are just allowing yourself to move forward. Despite the fears, despite the excuses, despite it all, you're just moving forward. You're activating from flow. Get this, is a choice. Yes. Activating from flow is a choice. It's a choice to spend time working on your passion or researching it. So if I really want to do something, I'll start researching stuff. Like it took me years to get Quantum Speak on audio. I'm still in the thick of this audio situation. So there's some resistance there. I got to work on that. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe perfection at this point. But what happened was someone asked me and said, oh, it would be great. And it happened because people have asked me before. It happened at a time where I was ready for it. I immediately went online and said, I'm going to find a recording studio. I found one. Within like 2 days, I was in that recording studio and recorded the whole book. After the fact, it took a couple of weeks for the recording to come through. And then I went to go upload it into Amazon. And apparently you have to have an ebook first. So now I'm going through that process of doing the ebook and cleaning up the print version, because we found a couple of mistakes in the print version. So now I have to fix that. So there's all these moving parts and pieces that could throw me off, that could derail me and get me to forget I even wanted to do it. It's so interesting how your mind works, and how when things start to get dense or heavy or the energy doesn't flow, it's easy to stop, and myself included, for sure. If we don't decide and forge ahead, we will have projects that sit just like this one. When did I even freaking do this? I feel like it was December. Since December. Oh my Lord, it's March. So I'm calling myself out on this one. I'm getting back at it. So I got to go back in. I got to fix some things. I got to figure that out. And then I'm going to hand it over to another guy who's going to get it on the ebook form. And then the audio will be ready to go. So I am going to commit to, by the end of March, that will be out. Yes, I'm committing. So there you go. Make a commitment. Make a commitment to somebody. Make a commitment to yourself, right? That integrity of self is so important. So it's a choice to spend time and to focus. It's a choice to spend time and to focus on what really makes us feel fulfillment and passion. It's a choice. And I know it may feel like it's not. I had a great conversation with my oldest daughter recently, and she was saying that she was going to commit to some sort of program, some sort of accountability for working out and eating right, because she felt like she wasn't doing it, and it's one thing that she feels bad about. So she was looking at 75 hard, and if you've never seen 75 hard, has like 5 things you have to do every day, and one, it's like 2 workouts a day, one has to be outside, eating right, reading for 20 minutes, and I think meditating was part of it. I hope it is. And she was talking to me about this, and she was like, I really want to commit to this, and I'm realizing how much time I actually have to commit to this, where I keep telling myself I don't have time. But when something becomes important to you and you decide and you commit, then the avenues open. The avenues open, the time opens, the energy opens, and the flow happens. So it's making that commitment, and that commitment is a choice. It's a choice for you to decide to either continue to live life by less than standards, just getting by every year, kind of being healthy, not really, kind of doing stuff, kind of not doing stuff. You're in, you're out, that's wishy-washy energy. It doesn't really form into physical manifestation. It takes a lot longer when you're not focused. So it's really getting clear about what you want to do, what is going to fill you up, what's going to really fulfill you. Because I will tell you, it is so worth running through the fear. I like to run through fear. I don't like to walk through fear. I like to run through fear because walking through fear is way too painful. I'd rather just forage ahead, just put my head down, get her done, and then get the benefits on the other side. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I don't know. I don't really feel like I've been running through this, but I'm working through it. I'm working through the resistance and the doubts, and I keep coming back to this is the next logical step for me. There are powerful energies in the field when you choose and decide. So when you get super focused and you decide, what you're doing is you're bringing in the energy from the field to conduct with you. You are basically putting your order in with the universe, and you're saying yes. If you don't activate energy, it's definitely just like an airy fairy dream, one that you don't feel, one that you don't manifest, one that you don't really, you want it, but you live mostly in the lack of it. This is what works against flow. So if you want to know why you haven't been able to create from flow, this is what works against flow. No life force. So that is spending a lot of time on the TV, spending a lot of time in taking substances, spending a lot of time on your phone, spending, just not really allowing life to be called through you. It's eating really crappy food, watching crappy stuff. Your focus is diluted, so you're all over the place, right? Like we've got this like society of people with ADHD, and I get it. Okay, we all have a level of ADHD, especially now, and I get it that it's potential that you have been labeled as this, and you want to own it, and you want to keep it, and you want to identify with it because it keeps you safe. It keeps you safe. It keeps you the same. But is it really serving you? Is it really serving you to believe that you have ADHD? Is it really serving you to be able to, be a powerful creator? People with ADHD or people that walk around, I'm not going to say using that as an excuse because that's not right. But people that are walking around in that identity field are creating from that belief system. So if you really want to get out of the energy and identity creation of being ADHD, you got to know, you got to trust, you got to have faith that you can change, that you can actually focus, and that you can call yourself to focus. And you can set an alarm for 20 minutes and sit there and work on your passion. What's 20 minutes? I'm telling you, 20 minutes will go by so fast, you're going to want to reset your alarm for longer. Because once you're swept up in the energy field of this creating, that's life force, baby. It's life force. Okay. Believing you can't be creative because you have to make money and pay bills. This is a huge limitation in the life force. This is a huge limitation in creating anything differently that could actually allow abundance and creativity into your life. So if you have this self-limiting behavior, if you or belief system, if you have that lack and limitation of bondage, so you live in bondage, I promise you that even if you have a full-time job and a family, you can carve out time for your passion. And when you carve out a little bit of time, goodness gracious, we're the position we're in now in this world, we can create money doing anything. We can create, I mean, we just have so much more access than we ever did before to ideas, to plans, to create. I mean, we can Google anything, right? So let go of that self-limiting belief because that will keep you. It's like, oh, I can't do anything until my kids are older. Or I've heard a lot of people say it's like, I can't move until my kids are out of high school. Really? Like, I don't know about that. It's like if you're really being called and your heart is really being called, I don't know why we're putting our life on hold. I don't think we should be putting our life on hold for anything. And that's coming from a lady who moved her kids, one in middle school, one in high school. Really super challenging. It was not easy, but it was part of their expansion and growth too that I would never take away from them. And they're both well. They're both doing well. All right. So any story or excuse that keeps you from the flow of doing what you love or wanting to create is a self-limiting belief. It's a self-limiting belief that will continually shut down your energy field and not allow you to create from it. So you got to let that stuff go. You got to let it go. You got to let the doubts go. You got to interrupt the doubts. You got to say, hell no, I'm not listening to that voice anymore. I'm going to step into my power. I'm going to do what I say I want to do. I'm going to activate from that identity and I'm going to let all that stuff go. One of the biggest things that derails us is fear. And I get it. And we all know what fear is, right? False evidence appearing real. That false evidence appearing real is living from your forgetting. It's forgetting who you are. I put a post up today about remembering who you are. This is living from your forgetting. It's not allowing yourself to really stand in your power. It's listening to a voice that is always trying to keep you safe and the same. So you got to have a meditation practice to create that space. I was talking to a beautiful client this morning and she was sharing with me that even when she's not in meditation, she can have moments of zero state awareness. So that is when you are in the present moment. Your eyes are open. You're in the present moment and there's nothing. There's no story, there's no judgment, there's no to-do list. You're just in the peace of the moment and you're allowing the moment to be the magic and you're allowing the moment to be fresh. That zero state awareness, when we get into meditation and we literally have no thought, or even after meditation, we just sit there and we just have no thought. That is the cleanest your slate becomes in this life experience where you can create fresh, where you can create anew. You don't have to create from the past. You don't have to create from worries of the future. You are literally creating from the present moment awareness. And that's where all the beauty is. That's where all the juice is. That's where all the flow is, in that present moment awareness. Living from your inferiority or less than, it's time to clear that. So these inferiority complexes sometimes can be, it's because we're not raised by people who really inspire us. Maybe you have been, and that's awesome. If you had somebody who cheered you on and told you could do anything. I haven't met too many people like that, but there are a few in my life that I can tell you that, they were cheered on as kids and they became great, great, successful people. But if you haven't, if you were kind of held down, if you weren't allowed to realize your dreams or realize the call of your heart, it's time for you to release that stuff. So I'm going to do a little exercise on releasing. Let me just do that right now, and then we'll get into activating the receiving mode. So I want you to close your eyes for a second. and just take a deep breath. Hopefully you're not driving. If you're driving, you got to pause this, wait till you park because we don't want to do that. All right. So I want you to take a deep breath. And we're just going to call on divine energy. We're going to call on all this beautiful energy around us. And we're going to call on and release all the energies of powerlessness, all the energies of fear, all the energies and blockages to your passions, to your fulfillment, to your truth, all those things that have shut down your heart, that have shut down the call of your heart. We're releasing all energies and blockages to our creative centers, to our brilliance, to our channel. So we just release all the blockages to that spiritual channel, releasing all blockages to your intuition. So that is confusion, that is feeling uninspired, demotivated, all those energies, that heavy energy. We're releasing all the heavy energies that have caused you to not live from your gifts, releasing all fear of judgment, releasing powerlessness, unworthiness, any energy that goes against the true essence of who you are. Yeah, we fully release that. Awesome. So good. So much energy just released. Good. So let me just see if there's anything else. Releasing energies in the heart of feeling unlovable, feeling alone, feeling unworthy of love, feeling unforgiveness of self and others, releasing the attachments, the resentments, and any anger or sadness, releasing all past energies, releasing all genetic energies, releasing all lack, and releasing all limitation. Great. Awesome. All right. So that's your release work. It's that simple. Just calling that energy out of your body, allowing it to go, feeling lighter because of it. I definitely feel lighter because of that. How awesome is that? Okay, so the first step to living in flow, to really activating from your power, guess what it is? I know. You're not even going to believe it. It's deciding. Deciding you want to do it. Deciding that's it. I'm doing this, right? Like my daughter with this program. That's it. I'm doing this. I'm all in. And once she says she's all in, she's all in. My kids are like that. Like when they decide something, they do it. And I love that. That is such good energy. So hopefully you're like that. Hopefully you have the integrity, or if you haven't in the past, that you will step into that identity of having the integrity of the person who decides and does. So we're deciding right now, right here, we're deciding there is a way. I am activating a way to live my dreams, to fulfill my heart's desire. The next step is refusing. So refusing the thoughts, interrupting the thoughts, refusing the energy that is going to try to derail you, that's going to try to activate doubt, and is going to try to distract you. So that's your phone, that's the TV, that's the drinking, the partying, all that distraction. I'm no longer going to be distracted. Listen, if you did 30 days with no substances in your life, I'm telling you, it will change your life. I mean, 60 is even better. But just clear your fields of the low vibrational stuff that gets you out of whack, because that's what alcohol does. That's what marijuana does. That's what any kind of pills do. They get you off your balance. They get you out of flow because there's an apathy involved and there's a lower vibrational energy that's involved with substances. So get off of those. Give up TV for a little while. Okay, then release. We just did a release. You can come back and do that release again. You can do that release for yourself. Do some journaling. If you've got some energies coming up that you're feeling heavy or you're feeling stuck, you're feeling some resistance, do some journaling and really dig down and activate those feelings and release them as they come up. And then activation. I'm going to do a little activation at the end, activating from your power, activating from your brilliance, and activating from that expression. So what we're doing is we're inviting divine energy in to lead us. We're no longer doing this on our own. If you're trying to live life totally on your own, if it's to be, it's up to me, and you're not inviting in that divine energy, that connection, you're doing things the hard way. There can be a much easier way. There can be magic. There can be miracles. You can be in this non-physical support system that is there for you, but only there if you invite it in. All right, moving towards. That's the last step. Moving towards what you want. So, very simply, the other day when I was feeling like, okay, it's time, I'm ready to do something, I sent an email to the guy on doing my ebook. Okay. I sent an email to the guy who did the audio recording to send me the fixes that I need to make. I sent an email to the girl on the room, right? So it's just moving forward. These can be incremental steps. They can be little things. And what they do is they make us feel a little better. And what they do is they move a little bit of energy so that we're not in stuck energy. We're like, okay, I'm activating, I'm moving forward. What can I do right in this moment that's going to move me towards what I say I want? It's going to move me towards my solutions. What can I do? They can be very, very small. They really can. They can be as small as, I've had my kids do this a lot. Like, let's say you're looking for a place, you're looking for a place to move, or you're looking for a new job. It can be as simple as writing a list. And as you write that list, activating the feelings. Okay, I want a job that makes me feel good. I want a job that pays me really well. I am overwhelmed with excitement about a new opportunity, something that will challenge me, something that will give me a team to play with, something. And you write down all those feelings, right? Something that'll make me feel free, that will make me excited to get out of bed in the morning. So you activate from the feeling, and you're just writing a list, which basically is just activating energy, which is it's energetic alignment to what you're looking to create. So, so smart. So exercise your power as often as you can, which means using your voice, asking for what you need, saying no when you want to say no, saying yes when you want to say yes, and no longer living from obligation. So a lot of times obligations can make us feel like we're in bondage. So some of us have to say enough. Some of us need to say enough to the constant barrage of obligation. The thing with the constant barrage of obligation is there's a lot of people pleasing going on, which is not being in your power. There's a lot of disempowerment that's going on, because when you're doing for people out of an obligatory state, out of an obligatory energy, you are basically not allowing them to step up and step in and start manifesting from their own power, because you're like, I'm the only one that can help. Not true. Not true. Especially if you feel that way. Definitely not true. All right. So recognizing and shifting old stories and energies, those beliefs that say, I can't do it, or all those reasons and excuses, those excuses are just like literally like raindrops on your sunshine. Like first of all, they're not really powerful unless you give them power, unless you use them to keep yourself stuck. So any excuse literally is being in problem mode, and it's not activating higher vibrational energy and solution. Those excuses are when you're trying to do it on your own and you're not calling in the non-physical. You're not calling in the power, the life force that you are connected to. Do good and healthy things for yourself so that you can up your vibe. So that means moving, walking, exercising, getting out in nature, eating healthy, high vibe foods. I have recently just decided. So I came off my body fat competition. I did not do well. I was disappointed. I was definitely disappointed. And as much as we want to blame our age and we want to blaming does not put us in solution mode. And you don't learn anything when you're in blame. My youngest daughter told me that, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense. We don't learn the lesson if we're in blame, right? So she's a wise soul. So I got out of that and I thought, okay, where do I go next? Because what I've been doing basically is I'm either overtrained. I think my body was definitely overtrained. I've been working out super hard, and I'm not feeding my body correctly to how it wants to be fed. So I kind of went back. This is a cool manifestation story. I went back to thinking about paleo because I always felt really good on paleo. I think paleo is one of the smartest diets out there, not diets, like lifestyles. Like it's not a diet. Eating paleo means hunt or gather, anything you can hunt or gather, which is basically going back to the caveman times of just real solid whole foods, like feeding your body real solid high vibrational foods. And so I brought my paleo books with me on our trip and I was going to read them. I never did. And but I opened up my cookbooks. I started making some stuff today. I made this amazing like sweet potato, egg, avocado. Oh, it was so good. And I had a call yesterday with a guy who, and this is how manifestations and miracles and alignments happen. So I'm putting out this desire that I need a new thing, that I need a new situation, that I want to eat differently, that I want to fuel my body differently, that I want to step into a different place in my health. So, and it's not to say that I'm overweight or that I feel bad about myself. It's just I'm looking to up level and be in my highest experience possible. I want to be in the highest ability of my health, the highest range of my health. My husband and I both, like that's where we're at in our lives. We want to sustain, we want to have high energy, we want to feel good. So I'm on the phone. I set up a phone call with this person who wants to interview me for their podcast. So they want to interview me to see if they want me on their podcast. So they have a law of attraction podcast. It's called Point of Focus. I am probably going to have this gentleman on. His name is Jeremy. And he's interviewing me and he tells me he's like a nutrition coach as well. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm interested in hearing what you're doing with that. And I end up asking him all these questions and he got really excited. And it was a total manifestation because this is exactly what he teaches people is taking the processed foods out of your diet and eating these high vibrational hunt or gather foods. I'm like, this is amazing. This is incredible. So now we have another Zoom set up on Thursday for him to talk me through this. And then I'll be on his podcast on Saturday, which I'll share with you guys. And then I'll probably have him on mine as long as it all aligns. But that's how manifestation works. So get yourself in a higher vibrational place with food, with movement, with life force, and in your energy field. It will allow you to become lighter. When we're lighter, we have access to lighter energy and to lighter information. Meditate. Good Lord, people, if you don't have a meditation practice, I can't help you. Meditate 15 to 20 minutes a day. If you've been at it for a while, up it to 30 minutes. Get yourself in zero state awareness every single freaking day. You want to do it. It's going to prepare your vibration. It's going to raise you into higher states of consciousness. It's going to uncover so much of who you are and so much of what you have to offer here. And if you've been meditating for a long time and you haven't been feeling changes, it's not that you're doing it wrong, but it's time to go deeper. So I would highly suggest some Joe Dispenza meditations. I also love Fred Dodson, but do some meditations that are going to rock your state a little bit. Joe does some breathing exercises that really activates your state, or get into some really deep visualizations where you are really feeling the energy of fulfilling those dreams, where you are really imagining and seeing and focusing on that lighter energy within you. So meditating, exercising, listening and reading. You guys, I listen and read a lot because this is why. It's not that I'm like trying to take in all this information. First of all, I've always been a super curious person. Like I just love researching. I've been really interested in spirituality and the science and universal law for a long time. So that stuff jazzes me up, right? But I want to expand and grow my brain. Like I really want to have access to this really, a brain that's always growing. If you're not living, you're dying. If you're not growing, you're decaying. So right now I'm reading Younger Next Year. I had shared, my husband and I are really passionate about, staying young. Heck yeah. Like we look young, we are young, we've got the rest of our lives, our kids are grown, we're ready to hit it. We're ready to hit the passion, hit the road, do some traveling, and really experience life to the fullest amount. We can't do that if we're sick, people. We can't do that if we're living on alcohol and living on drugs and living at less than. We can't do that. We've got to take our power back on that front, especially because that actually ties into a lot of other things. Journaling and releasing, I love doing that. Just, really working on those inner stories and then working on mastering that zero state awareness, even outside of meditation. Huge, even outside of meditation. So it's practicing driving and noticing what's around you and just being in the moment. It's practicing being in front of someone while they're speaking and not thinking about what you're going to say, but really listening, being an active listener and really taking in the energy that they are giving, right? Oh, active listening, so good. Consider in the moment. Consider what in this moment will help me to feel like I am moving forward. Consider this every day. I consider this every day because I do work from home, because I do make up my own shit, because I don't have like a set schedule. Every day I ask myself, what would move me forward on these projects that I want to complete or on these things that fulfill me and make me feel like I'm really fulfilling my life purpose and my life gifts? What can I do right now? What will help me to feel that movement forward? Sometimes, you know what that is? Sometimes for me, sometimes that's Fun Friday. Sometimes it's taking the afternoon off and going to the beach because it's just releasing the attachment to always feeling like we have to work. Listen, workaholism is another distraction. Constantly working and never relaxing is not receiving mode. That is driving energy and it's hard and it's dense, it's exhausting, and eventually you will burn out. So relaxing sometimes is the biggest part of allowing energy, and that is receiving mode. So that brings me to receiving mode. What can I do to be in the receiving mode more? So what does it mean to be in the receiving mode? Receiving mode is feeling at peace. Receiving mode means feeling relaxed. Receiving mode means I am in self-love and self-care. I take time to love myself, to care for myself, to feed myself, right? You starving yourself, you got to feed yourself. If you don't have the energy, if you don't have the calories, if you don't have the fuel, how are you going to move forward? Many of us, as we get older, we don't really eat. We don't. It's because we're not as hungry because we need less calories. If we don't feed that system, then everything we put in our body turns to fat. Hello, geez. You got to feed yourself on a consistent basis, like every couple of hours to keep that fuel going. Focusing on your passions is huge. Abstaining from substances, being in nature, love, giving and receiving love in any way, shape, or form. It can be with a dog. It can be on social media, but the thing that I'm finding about social media is that it's very surface and not totally real. So it gives us a sense of connection, but it's not a true connection. It's not a true connection. So find activities where you are with people. Find and create. Like I have friends, and a lot of times I am the one who gets us together, who organizes dinners, who organizes activities, because it's important to me to have that resonance with people and that sense of community. And in our book Younger Next Year, it talks about the fact that will give you longevity of life, and it will keep you sane. It will keep you smart. It will keep you activated. It will keep you lighthearted. It will keep you healthy. They call it limbic resonance, which I thought was so fascinating. And it's actually one of the reasons I'm starting these live workshops. Limbic resonance is when we all get together and we've got commonalities and we're able to talk and connect and have really cool conversations. That's limbic resonance. And when we have that going on, our life feels really good, really complete. So that sense of community, that sense of love, that sense of support is absolutely essential to us thriving as human beings. And if you don't have it, you have to create it. And if you are an antisocial person who believes they don't like people, you're going to cut yourself off at the knees. You got to open yourself up. There are people out there just like you that want to find you. So you got to open yourself up to that. Movement, huge. I can't say enough about exercise. Truly, truly, truly move your body, stretch your body, do something. There's these awesome stretch videos on YouTube that I love. Honor your body. So that means not putting crap in it. That means not, and honor your body and your mind. Don't put crap in your mind either. Okay. Because that's what you're going to ingest and that's what you're going to focus on. And those are the frequencies you're going to be tuned into. Remember how far you've come. Many of us forget that. And then we feel like we haven't moved forward, and we absolutely have moved giant leaps forward in our life experience. And if we really look back, we can say, oh my goodness, I'm so much better than I used to be. That's important. That's important because if you don't do that, you may feel stuck, and that's not healthy. Listening to reminders like this podcast, reminding you that you are brilliant, that you are needed, that your gifts and talents are ready to be received, ready to be shared and received. Reading, nurturing your creativity. So that could be anything, painting, drawing. I have a friend who just made me these beautiful rocks. Oh my goodness, I could cry just talking about them, with all these powerful words on them. They're on my kitchen counter as a reminder every day, not just a reminder of creativity and the words that are on them, which are so powerful, but a reminder of how much I'm loved. Oh yeah. Yeah. Those remind me of how much I'm loved and how blessed I am to have people in my life who connect with creativity, who connect with what I'm sharing, who connect with that life force. So amazing. So any kind of creativity, planting, making things for people, music, singing, dancing. I'm taking a freaking hip hop class, people. Totally my husband's idea. I don't know if I've shared this, but yeah, maybe I should put some videos up for you guys to see. So we started a hip hop class a couple weeks ago. I've gone 3 times. I'm starting to really love it. I have all the moves and none of the grooves. Like, I'm not sure where my groove is, but I haven't found it yet. And I think it's because I'm still thinking about it too hard. I probably need to invite divine energy in to move through me. But we've inspired our youngest daughter, who is our hip hopper. She did hip hop through high school, and COVID kind of shut it down towards the end. So we've kind of reignited that in her, which is really good and super important because she's so, 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 so good. Like, she's got the grooves. The girl's got the grooves. So she's been going with us, and now it's kind of a family thing that we do together, and it's hysterical. We learn one dance an evening, and it's just fun, and we're moving our bodies and we're using our brains in a different way. So yeah, do something out of the box like that. Talk about fear. Yeah, I'm like hiding in the corner, but it doesn't matter. It's a dark room, first of all, which is cool. And secondly, like, everybody's just doing their best and everybody's focused on themselves. So nobody's judging and nobody's watching anybody else, which is pretty cool. I did ballet a few years ago because that was a regret I had. Just, like, answer these calls. Like, if you've got regrets, go back out and do it. It's totally accessible to you when you decide, right? Decide. Light-heartedness and laughter. That's a huge one. How serious are you being? Are you being really serious? Because the seriousness just sucks. I live with a bunch of clowns. I really do. And our road trip was very fun and funny. First of all, my husband is a comedian. My youngest daughter is hysterical. And so being around these two, and they're joking and they're laughing and they're singing and they're making up songs, it's a blessing, but I've called it. I've called it. I've become it. I'm silly. I'm lighthearted. I'm receiving it. I remember times as a kid, when you remember when you would like be at the dinner table and you'd start laughing with your siblings and your parents would get madder and madder. Like, why was that? I think whenever my kids did that, like, we laughed with them. I'm pretty sure. They can call me out on that one because I'm not totally sure because I was serious there for a little bit. I do remember one time in particular that my parents got involved in some funniness and we had a food fight. And it was like the funniest thing that ever happened because my parents just let loose. And it's like, why don't we do that more? I'm not talking about food fighting because that's messy and I don't like messy things, but why don't we just get a little lighthearted about things? If we're lighthearted and we're more in joy and we're jokey, I'm very jokey with people. I like to joke with people. I like to make people laugh. If we're like that and we're less serious, we're going to be in a different frequency. In order to be in that frequency, you have to invite it in. You've got to stop the thoughts that are causing so much seriousness and so much low vibrational energy. And you've got to let yourself be lighter, less serious. Nothing serious is going on here. I know there's a lot of serious shit going on in the world. I know that. I value that. I'm not saying I don't value that. What I'm saying is we can't get sad enough to make people happy. We can't get sick enough to make people well. We can't be upset about something and fix it at the same time. We've got to raise our vibe. We've got to be in peace. We've got to be in love. We've got to be in joy if we want to change the energy of the world. That's how we're going to do it. Not by fussing and fighting and complaining and being in resistance to everything. The higher vibrational realms is where solution is. It's where the higher consciousness is. If you think divine energy doesn't have a plan for things, I mean, come on, right? Magic, miracles, peace. Let's call it all in by being it. That's how you call energy in. You become it first. That's identity creation. You become the love, you become the joy, you become the laughter, you become the fun, and then you end up creating it. You intend it and it becomes. On my Fun Fridays, a lot of times we'll start out doing silly things like jumping and taking pictures, and then the entire day is just one of hysterics because we have set the tone, we've set the frequency. All right. Focusing on what truly brings you joy and creating from loving acts with no strings of attachment. So putting yourself in the frequency of joy by doing nice things for people, by doing nice things for yourself, by focusing on what really brings you joy. If watching the birds outside your window, this brings me joy. We have a lot of hummingbird feeders. I love hummingbirds. If that brings you joy, milk it. Stand there for as long as that bird. I watched a bird this morning that was singing for probably a full straight 5 minutes. I just sat there and watched it because I felt like he was talking to me. First of all, I know, bizarre, but it was bringing me joy. It's like, this is nature. This is beauty. This is a miracle right in front of me. I need to listen. I need to pay attention and I need to get present. So focusing on what truly brings you joy. There's times in my life where, wow, I'm over an hour. Holy cow. I'm going to do a little activation, but there's times in my life when I will be doing something as simply as folding laundry. I know this sounds insane. Folding laundry or cooking, or even cleaning my house, but mostly like cooking. And I am in so much joy. I am just present. I usually will have some good music on, or I'm listening to, a good audio or a book, but I'm so present and I love cooking. So I send all my love and my joy into the cooking, right? So those kind of things that seem mundane, that seem like they could just be tasks that we do every day, we can infuse those with creativity and love and joy and allow those to activate more of that in us. All right, so I'm going to do a little activation. So again, if you're driving, pause for later, but close your eyes if you're not, and just be with me in this moment. Take a deep breath. And I really want you to feel yourself in your body. So let your shoulders drop and really feel your bottom in the chair. And take another deep breath. And just imagine the crown of your head is opening and you're bringing in all this beautiful light. So we're calling in, we're activating, we're inviting in divine energy. And we're calling in an activation of our power. So we're calling in all this beautiful light, this beautiful flow, this beautiful expression, and we're allowing this light to flood the top of our heads. So our neural pathways, imagine it comes and goes through all of your brain, all of your neural pathways, and it just sweeps and cleanses and clears and brings it into a higher vibrational state where creativity is activated. Intuition. So we activate that third eye. Our intuition is activated so we can truly act from it, truly listen to it, truly hear it. And then bringing that light down the back of the neck, activating a feeling of well-being, letting the heaviness of the world that you've been carrying on your shoulders, just let it go. Yeah, really let those shoulders drop. And then bringing that light through the front of the face, let your jaw get really relaxed. This is receiving mode, okay? When we let everything go, when we let ourselves be, when we let ourselves really feel into our bodies, into our physical bodies, we let everything else go. So bring that light to your throat, opening up the throat chakra so you can speak your truth, so you can live from your gifts, so you can live from the true power and fulfillment of who you are. Activating your heart in love and kindness and compassion and joy. Letting that light really expand the heart, really allowing you to hear what the heart is calling you to and act and decide from that energy. And bringing that light into your power center, opening up your power, opening up your self-esteem, your self-confidence, the truth and the powerfulness of who you are, that expression of all that is, that beautiful bright light, the essence of who you really are. Activating that power, that creative center underneath your belly button, balancing out your emotional field, allowing you to be in your feminine nature of nurturing yourself, nurturing others, nurturing your creativity and the expression of that creativity, allowing all of your ideas to manifest into the physical. And then activating that root center. So we bring that bottom of your spine, that light, and we connect it to the intuition to allow for physical manifestations to take place. So this activates your motivation, your inspiration, your love of life, your fulfillment, your life force, that divinity within you, and that expression of all that is, that you have infinite intelligence and access to all. So just breathe that in and let it activate each one of your cells, bringing you into that higher state of consciousness and awareness, and allowing you to know your truth, to know that you are here to create and to have the energy and the life force to create all that will bring you what you've been asking for, fulfilling those desires, giving you a sense of accomplishment, allowing you to feel your true power, and inviting in your non-physical support and guidance. So it's all possible. So just for a moment, I want you to visualize whatever it is that you've desired, whatever your dreams are. And I want you to feel it, really feel into it. So you're in it, you're living it, you're basking in it, you're excited about it. And life is giving you exactly what you've been asking for. Awesome. Awesome activation. Had to go a little long on this one so I could get the release and the activation in, but these are the things, these are so powerful. And if you use them to your advantage and really get deep within yourself, you're going to live the life that you dream. You're going to allow yourself to unlock all of these limitations and really live a life of unlimited potential. And I am here for you and I am excited for you. If you are local to Southern California, send me an email at livelifegolden@gmail.com and I'll connect with you on these live workshops. They are going to be life-changing. I have no doubt about it. I already see it. I already feel it. I already trust it. And it's a couple of year activation process that's been happening, and it's time. It's time for me to step in and step up and allow this activation of power to become something that ripples out and becomes part of all of us knowing who we truly are and remembering, right? All right. I love you all. Peace.